Hey everybody, it's a Sunday morning. It's nice and early.
It's
Welcome,
just
welcome. This is episode 9 of the Duke Post Game Report. My name is Eric Russman. I'm here with the alley. Oh, sorry, that was last episode. I'm here
oh,
with Timon to my Pumbaa, Maurizio
oh my
Ritz Martinovich.
god.
Thank you. I thought it was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
I think I'm gonna make this
Hakuna
my new thing. Try to go.
Matata on Sunday
I think I'm gonna try
morning.
to come up with a new one every episode and see how long I can keep it going.
It means
Yeah,
no worries.
yeah, it's how I felt this morning actually.
Right, right. We got a huge
Trying to keep
game
it
and
stress free.
stress free.
Yeah, but so today we're going to be going over the awesome win against Virginia Tech. We're going to do a little coverage of the awesome other win for us,
Yeah.
which is the loss of UNC.
Woo!
We're going to highlight a sweet turkey shootout, courtesy of Mr. Tre Jones. I'm going to deep dive in a little bit of one play, highlight what's coming up the rest of the way, and even provide some coverage of some of the other notable games like Gonzaga and Texas Tech. And then we're going to cover what's coming up later today against big ol' Michigan State going up against the Spartans. So let's get to it.
Yes, sir, Eric. It was another nail biter for us. Just like I'm not sure how I can keep if you just can't like keep up with it because the heart rate is too high, I'm totally with you. So it was Duke and Virginia Tech in the NCAA Sweet 16. Okay, this is a rematch from a game that happened earlier this season where they unfortunately got the better of us in Blacksburg. There was no Zion Williamson at the time and no Eric Robinson for them. So how would the teams fare? They say that revenge is a dish best served cold, but I prefer my turkeys hot and roasted, just like Zion Williamson is going to come in, and Virginia Tech is going to learn who he is very quickly. Now, RJ Barrett wasn't doing a lot of scoring early, but he was distributing, and he would get his shot later on. But here we go. It's all about the defense. Javin DeLaurier at the top of the Washington Monument here, and then they're going to try to get it into Blackshear, but Zion is going to serve up a plate of the stuffing. Get out, Mr. Blackshear. And then here we go, because it's Javin who's going to slam the oven door shut on that pass from those turkeys, and that's going to turn into instant offense into Tre Jones. Great look here to Alex O'Connell, who gets the easy layup, but Duke would actually be down here until we get to Zion, who turns on the Iron Man jets, and he doesn't even come down, and he still gets the 2 points, but Duke goes down into the locker room down by 4. RJ trying to get the comeback going, finally getting his points. Now Zion Williamson deep in the paint, carving up the turkeys. 3 of them. You better bring a 4th, Virginia Tech, because it's just not working for you. And then beautiful off this curl with the and 1 to RJ here. That's Kevin Blackshear's 3rd foul. That would be big because that's early in the half, and Duke is finally going to take advantage and go on a bit of a run. Quick hands by RJ is going to turn into quick offense by RJ is going to turn into quick points. Nicely done. Duke with the first lead of the second half, 53-52. And now Zion is going to find Tre Jones. Look at this space again, and he's going to drain it. There we go. 5 for 7 from Tre Jones. We're going to get to his turkey shoot later. It was beautiful stuff, but Tre Jones' defense is always clicking. Interception by Mr. Jones, and turkeys can't fly, but Zion Williamson can! It's spectacular! Look at this. There was so much tension in this entire game. It was back and forth, and Zion just cuts through it like the hot knife on Thanksgiving dinner. Woo! Good morning, America on a Sunday. Oh, gosh, if that doesn't get you up, I don't know what will. Now, Justin versus Zion. Here we go. Zion says, absolutely not. I'm more important than you are. And here's instant offense going on the other side. Tre Jones drains it. Finally, a bit of separation for the Blue Devils by 5. And then Tre Jones in the corner looking like his brother, Tyus. Oh, my goodness, another one. And now Zion, bottom of the net. Duke with a little bit of breathing room, but it would be a 2-point game with 15 seconds to go. And Virginia Tech's going to airball this one, and Blackshear actually going to get the rebound back into Virginia Tech, who's going to call a timeout. But wait a second, he stepped out of bounds, and they blew the call. Of course they blew the call. The refs blow all the calls against Duke. Why not? So Virginia Tech's going to get another shot at it, and they're just going to throw up another air ball, and this one's off RJ. All right, so 1.1 seconds down on the clock. They're going to get a 3rd chance at it. Are you kidding me? On the alley-oop, it's a perfect execution except for the finish that doesn't go. Again, wide left. Look at this. Oh, my Blue Devils. Do you believe in destiny? Because this is it. Another narrow escape by our boys in DC. Wow. They pulled it off again.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I just want to say, I didn't tell you about this, Ritz, but I actually got an exclusive guest to come on the show today, and it is the MVP of Duke's team so far this year. It is the rim.
It is the
Um,
rim. The rim
it
is on the
is
show.
crushing it. It comes in clutch every game we need it, and it is just not level. It is slick. It is very good at defense. So I just want to give props. Good job. Let's high five the rim. Prop comedy. Let's go. Yeah, no. This game was insane. I think it was very different. Virginia Tech played. I mean, Virginia Tech played excellently. I was actually watching this game with a bunch of Duke fans, and there was one Virginia Tech fan there, and I totally respected him for being in that room. But after the game, I was like, damn, you guys, that was an insane game. They played very well. I think they came out. We kind of talked about like the plan to defend against Duke, and they more or less did that, but except this time our players adjusted and stepped up um, where they needed to. I mean, they continued to leave Tre Jones wide open,
Yep.
especially when he's on the arc, which we've seen before, and he made him pay. RJ was getting double teamed a lot. So was Zion. I mean, Zion has the power to just overpower. He needs like three defenders to be stopped, even in the paint. But he did a great job of continuing to attack, and give Blackshear problems with fouls. Um, but RJ found, even though he wasn't scoring yet 3 points in the first half, he found a way to like still help his team succeed, which was distributing the ball, drawing attention, getting other people open. I mean, he had 7 assists in the first half, ended
Yep.
up with 11 in the game.
Yes.
I think he really just stepped up. I
Most
mean,
ever by
also,
a Duke freshman in the NCAA tournament.
oh really?
Yes,
Wow,
11 assists. So not even a point guard, a freshman point guard like Tyus or someone had gotten 11 before.
wow. Yeah, I mean, and in addition to like in the first half, Virginia Tech, I mean, they shut the lights out in the first half,
Oh God, it
but
was bad.
but then they only ended up like 9 of 26, like during the rest of the game. Like they went super
Yep.
cold from the arc the rest of the way.
Seven of
Um,
17 in the first. And you
yeah,
you pointed out it was 2/3 of their points at halftime
yeah,
that they could not sustain in the second. Only 2 of 9.
yeah. But also props to them for they changed. Even though they clearly shot cold from the arc the rest of the game, they found also other ways to score. I mean, that's why this was such a battle. I mean, it's like it was just like adapting and just back and forth and back and forth. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought our defense was fairly strong. I mean, Blackshear still ate us up,
Oh,
but
such a problem.
we
Such
defended
a
pretty well.
problem.
Yeah, like Justin Robinson wasn't as big of an impact as I was worried about it. I mean, Blackshear was like
Right.
clearly the main problem.
Exactly. It wasn't Justin Robinson. We were wondering that coming into the game. He ended with 14 points, Blackshear 18. RJ didn't actually even make it to 20. Can you believe
Hmm.
that? Dear Blackshear, please go to the NBA. Yes, goodbye. Get out of here. Stop being such a problem. The biggest problem of Blackshear, though, was not necessarily 18 points. It was 11 offensive rebounds. He had more offensive rebounds than than defensive ones. 11 offensive ones, 5 defense. So many second chance points for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean a ton, and some of them didn't even convert on, so they're like thankfully, but yeah, I
We
mean
had
we were
8.
playing.
We had 8 offensive rebounds. He had as a team, he had 11.
Yeah, they're a little bit better at boxing out and going to get the ball, that's for sure. But I was thinking about it. I mean, obviously, so I think we should touch on that. Cam Reddish wasn't in this game. He
Yes,
had
good point.
some kind of it's kind of I don't think
Mysterious.
they've actually said it yet. Near irritation. I think they said it's like jumper's knee tendonitis. I don't know. That kind of showed up in their practice the day before the game, and it was kind of a game time decision, and he just wasn't feeling confident about it. And you never want to have a guy on a knee play uncertain because you can play on a flu uncertain all day. See Michael Jordan, but knee is a whole nother ball game. So that threw into some questions, and being a game time decision too. I was worried because it's like we've done well when we've had a player out when we know that coming into the game because we kind of can adjust. But that's another thing. I think we adjusted well to not having him kind of in our game plan anymore. I was a little concerned that it was gonna condense, or Virginia Tech was gonna be able to condense their defense, which I
Hmm.
think they did to some extent. because you saw a lot. I mean, they pretty much anytime Zion got the ball, they were like instantly trying to double team him.
Yes,
They picked somebody to leave open. Most of the time it was still Trey. I was trying to pay attention if like the guys who were in the game because Cam Reddish was there, like Alex O'Connell was being left wide open as well, and they were to some extent. They were when they were on the opposite side of wherever the ball was for sure. A little bit more than probably they would Cam Reddish, but there wasn't a huge difference. I think maybe where Cam Reddish not being in the game showed up was a little bit actually probably more like on the defensive end or rebounding, just because him standing in the paint is another, it's a 6'8", 6'9", like
big dude.
hands up in the air versus Alex O'Connell in there, maybe just the extra couple rebounds here or there.
Although props to
But
Alex because he had actually his career high in rebounding with
yeah,
7, all on the defensive glass, which prevents Blackshear from getting even more offensive rebounds.
yeah. I mean, I think he found. I mean, he was 0 for 4 3. That's whatever. I think he was putting in a ton of effort on defense and rebounding. He's just, I mean, out hustling to outwork people and contribute to the game. I thought he stepped up great, in that role.
Yeah, I agree. But one player who stepped up really great in a way that he hasn't been is Tre Jones. And he's always, as I said, really good on defense, but his 3-point shot hasn't always been there.
Mhm.
So we are going to go on a little turkey shoot with Tre Jones. All right, Eric? So get your duck hunt skills ready. And Tre Jones had 5 3-pointers in this game, and we are going to go zap some turkeys. So ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right, so Tre Jones, the player spotlight and the spinning turkey of doom here. So here we go. Ready? Lock and load.
Gobble
Bang!
gobble.
Woohoo! There's one. Another one. Another one. Track it. Track it. Track it. Track it. Pew!
Pow.
Woo! Gone. And then here we go. The third 3-pointer. Bang! There's a third one. Chomping off turkeys left and right. Another one. And
Wide open.
wide open. Wide open. And then bang! That's the sound that turkeys make, ladies and gentlemen.
Good.
And I mean everywhere. The 5 3-pointers, the assists, the defense, you name it. Tre Jones did it all. 22 points for Mr. Jones. I mean, he looked like Tyus had torn off his Timberwolves jersey and come back into
Yeah,
the
just snuck in there, just shaved a little bit.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, base 22 points, 8 assists, 5 of 7, and the most important stat of them all, 0 turnovers.
yeah,
Zero
I I
turnovers.
think I think that's huge. I mean, in these close games, turnovers just have such like a demoralizing effect. Often end up being, you know, usually like it ends up going an other way, and it's just the momentum is so important in March. In the field, and also like Tyus Jones hitting these wide open threes. I mean, I think I've said before on the show that like hitting a wide open three has like the added effect versus one that's like like kind of close and guarded and more routine. It's just like it's just more of a has that more of like dagger feel, I guess. And it also shows like your team is there for you when they're that isolated. So I think it was great that he stepped up, and I think that kept everyone else going. And especially an uncharacteristic shooting performance from 3-point line. I think that's a huge spark and just like help carry us through this game.
Yeah, but without Cam, we needed the third scorer because it was
Yep.
going to be Art. You knew RJ and you knew it was going to be Zion. So who's going to step
Hmm.
up into the third one? Tre filled in the role, and as a result, I mean, we needed every point that we got it. So
Oh yeah.
except for the final free throw. Except for the final free throw.
Yeah. God. Just wait sometime.
Ah.
Watching some of these other games when the teams kind of can. There's some teams that can close it out when they're up by 6. But
And
hey.
ours, it's an adventure every time at the line. All right, so
Yep.
we've got one play for you all here that was actually very nicely executed, which is going to be our play deep dive before we move on. It's the play that we called out for RJ that comes off this curl that actually triggers a Duke run because of the foul that we draw on Blackshear. And this is actually a play that is called
Hmm.
by Coach K here on the sideline. So Coach he's got his hand up here. They had actually done a little bit of passing back and forth before this. You see the shot clock's at 21.
Hmm.
And so they tried to get into some early action and it didn't work. So Coach was like, all right, I'm going to call a play.
Hmm.
So Eric, talk us through what this is.
Yeah. So I think sometimes you just, a coach can kind of sense like maybe if the motion offense is stalling a little bit. I think that's kind of what a sense was kind of a slow start to this possession. 9 seconds just kind of mulling around, and then he calls a play, and basically Zion's just going to go and drop down to the block. They kind of get in formation. He kind of goes and finds RJ. They create a little like just even like this crossing just to begin with is Virginia Tech has to be like communicating, talking like, all right, I'm going this way. They're not actually like running a play yet. They're just kind of walking around.
Yeah, they're kind of slow ball in this one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can like lull them in, and all of a sudden just like take like in the like just like kind of walking through, like Tre Jones being so far up, and you just like, next thing you know, you end up with like I've seen it, like you've ended up with all the defensive players like kind of packed together, and also you just like all take off directions, and someone sets a screen, and like they actually run into each other and like use their own players as screens.
Yeah,
Um,
there's four of them. There's four Virginia Tech. They're all right here in the paint.
yeah, I don't even know the guy who's guarding Alex O'Connell right now. Like I don't even know that defensive position. He's completely 180 from the stance that he should be in. Because like he has his back like almost completely to Tre Jones.
Yeah, he
Like
has no
right
idea where
now,
the ball is.
if Marquise Bolden just like set a screen on that dude,
Oh,
like he would
Alex could
not see
come
it
over
coming.
here, and
Yeah,
there's a pass. It's wide open.
yeah. So I think it's actually like a great set. It's basically like RJ, Zion kind of hanging over there. They don't defense doesn't really know which one of them's gonna do what. On the weak side, you have Bolden and Alex O'Connell that could work some screens. I bet this is something they have a couple options out of, and maybe the hand signal that Coach kept is like actually a specific one. But yeah, so I mean, Zion's just going to set a 285-pound 6'8" screen here, which creates a lot of distance. The Virginia Tech guy goes underneath it. The guy, sticks right with Zion, not going to give him an inch. Doesn't try to help out on that. Yeah, Blackshear steps up, and RJ just takes the contact
Takes the
and finishes
contact.
it.
It's
Um,
beautiful stuff. And like I don't I is Blackshear supposed to be on Bolden, isn't he?
yeah, yep.
Yeah. Like that's the man, and then just Bolden like walks out. Blackshear's like, oh nope, gonna get the foul.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is too, like the one thing I remember seeing this, and I was like Bolton has been a lot better, but like I was surprised that he didn't that he was popping on this. Like, what are
As
you
if he's
doing?
gonna shoot it.
Yeah, like you were fine where I mean, initially I guess he thought maybe RJ was gonna keep trying to curl, so he wanted to give him space, but like you could also roll down like with him, and like worst case you're on like if Bolton just kind of floated down to the block,
You're at
and
the
like
rim.
it's a bounce pass, that's a dunk. Yeah, but I like to play. I mean, even in the background, like I mean, coming off that screen before RJ actually curled all the way around, like Alex O'Connell actually cut baseline and was wide open in the corner. I mean, RJ can't make that pass at this point, but it was there because I mean his guy, and this is actually the thing. You think if Cam Reddish had cut to the corner back there, that this Virginia Tech guy is still in the half cylinder underneath the goal right now?
Oh,
I don't
because
think
so
so.
the
Yeah,
four,
he
it
never left.
was Alex O'Connell's man that you were like the dude's backwards.
Yep. He
Yeah,
just let him. He just let him go.
you let him go. You could also think probably you could try to reverse the ball, right? If you got it to Bolden out there and
Yep. Yeah. That's why I think this is a great set. It instantly, it kind of creates that RJ, Zion like cluster, which defenses are like, oh, we regularly double team both these guys, and then it just opens up everything else.
and
So
now
there's multiple options on
yeah, this
this.
is crazy because now all five Virginia Tech players are in the paint.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Anyway,
absurd. Yeah.
all
So
right.
great call.
Great call by coach. Well done. It's just, it's not like this is his 16th Elite Eight or anything. It's casual stuff. All right. So, yes, the and one, and that triggers a nice run by our Blue Devils. But this was not the only win a Blue Devil fan got on Friday night, because right before we came on the air on the CBS primetime, the Auburn Tigers, led by Bruce Pearl, managed to do us one hell of a favor. And it came, so we had voted previously who was the first 1 seed to drop, and we all said Gonzaga would be it. Turns out it was North Carolina. So shame on us for not getting that one right. But Auburn comes out of the half and goes on a 15-0 run, and like they beat Carolina in every phase of the game. It was impressive to watch. Now look at this block on Nasir Little. Oh my goodness. He goes up, the dude stuffs the ball, and Nasir Little's hanging on the rim like, what happened? And then again, look at this. He gets a block and he goes down. He gets planted it on the floor. Oh my goodness. It just like the tears of our enemies just give me so much joy. I mean, Auburn beat them in they beat them with the three. They beat them in transition. They beat them
Yep.
in the up and down track meet that everybody says is the Carolina way to play. And then Kobe White's gonna get stuffed here too, and he just goes flying off the baseline. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. And they shot 17 of 37 from three. 17 three-pointers. I was super. And here, Luke May on the floor. Luke May. Bye, Luke May. Nice to see you. Never going to see you again, thank God. Goodbye. This was beautiful. This was just
Yeah.
beautiful stuff because it was 46% from the three-point line. I think earlier in the season, UNC had a game. No, it was Virginia that had a game. They hit like 19 three,
Yep.
and we were like, wow, like Virginia really turned it on. But this one, holy cow! I mean, to hit 17 three-pointers, they took it to them. It was great. It was great. Then it
Yeah.
was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was an insane form, especially to do that like in the tournament, like under pressure, going up against a one seed. You know, a lot of people didn't expect Auburn to be there. I mean, that's just March Madness. I will say I have seen floating around that unfortunately Nasir Little like apparently had like was experiencing flu-like symptoms.
Okay.
And then apparently, I don't know, Cam Johnson was too. I don't know. I keep seeing more and more players apparently were affected. Days after the loss, but I'm like, I don't know if experiencing flu-like symptoms would have allowed you to not get blocked twice like that. But it's also funny, like seeing UNC fans use that as their excuse when they were more than happy to, not acknowledge that we beat you guys without Bolden and Zion getting injured in the first 2 minutes. It's weird how hindsight changes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I had this kid Purifoy the Purifier,
yeah.
cleansing the NCAA tournament of UNC. But so the game is actually though overshadowed by the loss of Okiki for Auburn.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. If you were watching this game, Roy had two. Let's see from the chat. Justin says Roy had 2 timeouts left too. Yeah, he comes out. He's gonna take them into retirement with him, so that when he goes drives his Infinities with the Ram, he can use them. Because there was one. He came out of halftime, and Auburn goes on that 12-0 run, and I'm pretty sure I texted you. Sweet potato in the chat. I can't even finish. This is great. UNC winners get vaccinated. Oh my God. Thank you, chat. Keep it up. Go to hell, Carolina. They come out in this 12-0 run, and I've texted you guys. I was like, time out, Roy. Time out. And then he doesn't call it, and then they hit another 3, and then he's like, okay, finally, now I'm going to call a timeout. Too late. But yeah, so you can vote in the poll as far as the matchup today, because it's going to be Auburn versus Kentucky. But unfortunately, so you can vote in that matchup and then vote in the matchup Virginia against Auburn or Kentucky. So we'll see what the people out there say. But yeah, super unfortunate for this guy Okiki. He was the best player on the floor. He left the game with like 8 minutes to go. Had 20 points and 11 rebounds at the time. Torn ACL. Season obviously over for him. So tough to watch.
He's more than one of their best players, of the season.
It was so painful,
especially over the last stretch. So, I mean, that's definitely rough. I remember being in, Indianapolis for the Final Four in 2010, and we were playing against I forgot the player's name. We were playing against
West Virginia. Butler,
yeah,
I think it was.
We were playing against West Virginia, and at that time we were already winning the game, and it was kind of late in the second half. But like we were only up. I don't know. I'm trying to remember, like 7 or 8 at the time it happened. But there was still some hope for West Virginia at that point. March Madness, whatever. But then like one of their top scorers went down like in that moment, and it was just like you just knew that like we were gonna win it. It was just kind of a shitty way to like we were already winning, but like it there's just kind of like that tone to it. And you just hate to see that in this kind of setting. So
absolutely, yeah. So all right, so we're gonna continue on. We're gonna go to our final segment, which is the NCAA tournament storylines. So let's see, UVA and Purdue. Eric, what a game!
Yeah,
what a game!
That game was nuts. I mean, I think Purdue, they've been playing strong. They took down Tennessee. They came out they came out firing. I mean, their guy had what do you end up with? 42.
42 points. This kid Edwards, holy cow, 42 points.
I was actually I actually went to like an improv show in Chicago last night, and originally we were like trying to get tickets to like the 8 o'clock show, which I was like, well, one it was sold out, but it worked out great because you're going to go to the 10:30 show, which ended right when this game ended. But we're like on the Lyft ride over and like watching the game on our phones, and like our Lyft driver's like asking us for updates, and we're like explaining it to him, and he's just like I'm like concerned this Lyft driver is like gonna freak out driving because he's just like what like yeah what's the guy's name? I don't have it.
Edwards.
Edwards,
I
yeah.
forget his first name begins with the C, but yeah, last name Edwards.
Yeah, the Carson maybe, I don't
Carson, I
know.
want to say, yeah.
Yeah, playing insane, and like apparently he's
Chat
from
can
Evanston,
correct
Chicago.
us.
Apparently Evanston, Chicago. Shout out Chicago, but yeah, he was playing insane. I kind of wish the rest of the team had stepped up a little bit, but I mean he was just shooting the lights out.
From
Um,
everywhere. From everywhere.
he was pulling from like 6 feet behind the line without even thinking about it. I mean,
Unbelievable.
he had that clear height advantage over, I think it's Clark is Virginia's freshman
Mm-hmm.
point guard. I mean, he could literally pull up anytime he wanted. He didn't have to have much space to be able to get a shot off. And I mean, when a shooter's feeling it, you're feeling it. He even hit like a bank shot.
Yes.
like that was going in. And I think it was kind of interesting that there was two of the last threes that he took and he missed. Um, it's kind of one of those things like it's hard to argue because like yeah he's hit so many this game, but like there was like at least one where I was like, dude, you're up by 2, why did you just shoot a 3? Like you're up by 2, you took a 3, you could have like worked a foul or got some points, a little bit maybe guaranteed. If he hits it, it's amazing, like extra legendary. I mean, he's already legendary performance, legendary tournament. He's had an insane tournament, but I was just like, yeah, maybe that was one to like work some clock and like save it too, and then but I don't know, insane game, and I mean Virginia just kept, they just they just stick around, keep fighting, and eventually usually the other team makes a mistake. I mean I think even Purdue had that crazy like turnover at the end where the guy actually like they had another shot to maybe get a crazy 3-point shot to tie it, and he just some weird play and they lost the ball.
Yeah, that was the mistake at the end. I mean, they had about 3 seconds left, and he's driving on the sideline, and he throws it out of bounds. So Eric, your magic number to beat UVA is what?
It's 70.
It's 70. Yeah, and Purdue scored what in regulation?
It was 70-70.
It was 70-70, exactly. So according to the book of Eric, you have to get more than 70 points to beat UVA, and Purdue got exactly 70, so they lost.
Yeah. It's weird. I might have to like come with some addendum for overtimes, but but
that's how it worked. It was just too funny to see that. The other game, Tech and Michigan. Oh my God, an exercise in futility.
Tech and Gonzaga.
Yeah, well, yes. Tech and Michigan before that, and that was my God. And then Tech and Gonzaga. Okay, so I have an axe to grind on this one. So I'm gonna turn up the tournament, the bracket challenge, which I am currently winning, because the betrayer Franny lost his national champion UNC. So God, his bracket is going to hell, just like Carolina. Now, my bracket, on the other hand, has the 2 of these Final Fours, Tech and Virginia, and I think I'm going to get Kentucky right. And I think a lot of other people have that one right because of the unfortunate injury to Auburn. However, if Auburn wins this, I have no issues getting this one wrong because I would love to see Calipari go down. So no problem there. Now, if you wanted to win your bracket in the pools, all right, so like this one, I think the South we said is kind of like pretty boring, although Virginia and Purdue gave us one hell of a game. Virginia, and then this was either going to be UNC or Kentucky, and then essentially we knew that this East one was going to be Duke or Michigan State, right? Yeah. So in order to win your bracket pool, you had to get the West right.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, what brought out the Texas Tech pick? Okay, it's not 100% luck, although there is absolutely some luck involved in this one. However, this goes back to my theory about Gonzaga. Okay, Texas Tech put Gonzaga away with 11 straight free throws. Think about that. This team was up late in the game. They went to the line and hit 11 straight free throws. That is how you close out a game in March. Bravo. Props to Texas Tech for that. However, I'm going to pile on to your conspiracy from last time because the NCAA committee, is in love with Gonzaga to the point that they essentially automatically give them a 1 seed, it's seemingly every season when they
Hmm.
should not have it. And I have
Hmm.
a massive problem with this because basically I had Gonzaga going out to Florida State, but Kofor did not play in that game. So they were
Hmm.
losing some point production there. Florida State was not at full strength. Gonzaga moved on. And essentially the matchup between Tech, I was picking between the matchup of Tech and Florida State, which I gave to Texas Tech. But in any case, I said Gonzaga was going to lose either in the Sweet 16 essentially.
Hmm.
Okay, Gonzaga, everybody's like, oh, they're so good, they have this great record. BS. Gonzaga is a mid-major team, okay, who wins their conference consistently and sometimes their conference tournament. Although they blew that this year and got routed by St.
Hmm.
Mary's, but they're a mid-major team just like any other mid-major, like a Buffalo. And the Buffalo is down here at the 6th line, all right?
Right.
People say, okay, well, they beat Duke early in the season. They're the only team to have beaten Duke at full strength. True. But that was so early in the season. If you recall that game, we gave the ball to RJ Barrett late in the game 3 times, and we screwed it up. All right. Admittedly, I think that is a coaching mistake, and the coaching staff realized that because since then, the late game situations for Duke have gone through Zion, not
Hmm.
RJ. So the
Right.
coaching staff has changed how we do that. If we played that one out another 3 times, the result would be different this time. We would not have lost that game. Okay? So, and then Gonzaga, they try to play a better schedule. They try to schedule their way up, which they did this year with games against Tennessee and UNC at on the road, okay, away. And what happened? They lost
Yeah.
them both. They lost them both. When they go and play the top teams on the road, they cannot win it. All right? This is they lose the games. So people are so obsessed that Gonzaga has this amazing record. And the reason is because the West Coast does not have a legitimate contender. All right. And because the media, this is a political and a media driven thing, they need somebody for showtime essentially on the West Coast, and Gonzaga is the best bet because UCLA hasn't been relevant since they got rid of
Hmm.
Alford and they made their run in the tournament, and none of the Pac-12 teams are any good. Perhaps Bobby Hurley can change that at ASU, but for the time being, doesn't happen. So what happens is Gonzaga unfairly gets a 1 seed in these tournaments, and every time you say, "Okay, Gonzaga, go prove it," they
Hmm.
screw it up and they can't. So there you
Yep.
go. And basically, what should have happened was that you would have given Michigan State the 1 seed, you would have given
Hmm.
Gonzaga the 2 in the West, and Michigan would have come up into the East Regional bracket, and we would be
Hmm.
playing Michigan and not Michigan State today. So the matchup would have been different. And in this case, you still would have had Gonzaga out in the West, but it was a 2 seed. But no, because the damn committee and the media is so obsessed with writing a story for the West Coast audience that it doesn't happen, and it's wrong. All right, so there's my soapbox. It's wrong. It's wrong. And anytime you think Gonzaga's going to make a run, I say no. It's just not going to happen. So
Right.
that's why Gonzaga goes down in this bracket and Texas Tech comes out as the Final Four pick. And I've sort of
Yep.
been vindicated. Yes, I got lucky, but I've been vindicated in the sense
Yeah.
that, like, it's wrong.
I mean, yeah, definitely, every year I pick my bracket, I start with Duke in the center and work, backwards. And then the next thing I look at is like, I start working with the 1 seeds, I'm like, I always look at Gonzaga and I'm like, okay, which team beats them? Like
Yeah.
I give them the first round, and then I'm like, starting from the second round on, I'm like, they can probably pull that one out. No, yeah, they're gonna beat. I believe I had them losing to Florida State. I mean, Phil Kofer, he lit up Duke. I went back and looked at his stats, and on season, his like actual point contribution to game is, he offers, maybe he's like 6 to 8 points per game. I think his importance shows a little more in the defensive end, being like a bigger
Yeah.
guy, so he might have slowed down, helped out with like Rui Hachimura of Gonzaga. But I mean, I also think just not having one of your senior players on the team, has an effect, on the team chemistry, and also just unfortunately he lost his like father. His father passed away
Yeah. Terrible.
after their first round game,
Terrible
so I mean
story
that
there.
that definitely has an effect. Just being without a player. So yeah, I mean, I had them losing to Florida State, and I was like, ah, crap, I can't believe Florida State let me down.
The
And then
jacket is off. I got heated.
yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
No, I think that's definitely a fair assessment. I mean, it's definitely true. For the sake of for coaches out there, the thing I always heard growing up playing basketball is defense wins championships. So at least coaches get to keep saying that, because with Gonzaga's like top three ranked offense, and then Texas Tech's top three ranked defense, which is actually legitimate. It was nice to see the clash of those two hashtag storylines. But yeah, you definitely see which one comes out on top, and it turns out defense and free throws wins championships.
Yep. And later in the season, we beat a Texas Tech team on neutral round.
We did, yeah.
Yep, and Texas Tech beats Gonzaga on neutral round because Gonzaga just cannot do it. They are not battle tested enough to do it, and they play a cupcake
Yep.
conference. Anyway, looking ahead to tonight, Duke, Michigan State. This game tips off in about 6 hours from now. You have a unique insight into this matchup because you have certain family members that are very invested in the Michigan State side of this. So I'm going to let you
I,
have this, you
I
sir.
do. I do. My dad went to Michigan State. My uncle went to Michigan State. My dad went there for grad school as well. I've grown up a Duke fan and a Michigan State fan. Anytime they meet, obviously, I'm a Duke fan, but I always hope for a good competitive game. Whenever we play them in Big Ten matchups before. We played them in the State Farm Classic every 3 years now. Um, my dad is gracious enough to, when I was in undergrad, 2008, 2012, and in school, he always kind of was nice and was like, I want Duke to beat him. It's okay if Duke beats him this time. I want that for you, for that experience. But over the last couple of years, he's like, all right, you had enough. It's been enough times. It's time to for Michigan State to get some. Um, he's he's superstitious as well. I think a lot of Saturdays when they both have games on TV, he'll be wearing, like, when Duke plays, he'll have like a Duke shirt and his Michigan State shorts on, and then Michigan State plays and he'll like flip flop his outfit. So mad respect, Dad. Love you, man. But because of that, I watched a share amount of Michigan State games and Big Ten games. Probably why my bracket isn't so great. I have a lot of ACC Big Ten bias, but yeah, I mean, Michigan State is they're really good this year. They've had some, like, during the regular season they had some losses where they kind of dropped the ball. I think they lost twice to Indiana, but then they beat them a third time in the tournament, and they're just playing great down the stretch. They beat Michigan 3 times.
3 times.
Some close games, but they also find ways to win. They find ways to come back, and even in those tight games where they're having to foul, like, they come and hit big shots. Their point guard Cassius Winston, he's one of the best in the Big Ten, if not in college basketball right now. He definitely steps up. They have an excellent shooter in McQuaid. I mean, he's a senior, lots of experience, and definitely hits shots when needed. They have a big guy, Nick Ward, who doesn't score a lot, but he's definitely a big body.
Is he the one with the
And
wrist injury?
yeah. So he was out a decent amount of games, which they kept winning through it. But like, yeah, like the Michigan, like, it's crazy. Like, he had a hairline fracture in his hand or something, and he actually like had surgery and like came back, and they like engineered him like a special cast, got like the engineers and the students involved, and got him a cast. But and then he came out and he's been playing. I think he, early on, I think the first couple of games he like got limited minutes because he literally like was out of conditioning, which is weird because it's a hand injury, but like apparently you like can't sweat because of risk of infection. So it was, but that was 2 weeks ago. So he's pretty much back. Yeah, I think I've watched their other tournament games, and I think I texted you, like, I was like, man, like before the Duke game, Virginia Tech game started, I was like, man, I hope our first half is as stress free as Michigan State's was,
They
because they were just
rolled.
kind of
They
they were just up by
rolled through
12
it.
like the whole game.
Yep.
And I think when they're up, they can definitely like get into like coast mode and just kind of like maintain it. So it's this game is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a great matchup between Tre Jones and Cassius Winston, the point guard battle. I think we have to contain Quaid, defensively, keeping him from shooting. And they're also great defensively in the paint. So I think Zion's gonna, with Nick Ward or Kenny Goins defending him, their other big guy. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be who shows up. They always say Coach K is like outcoached Tom Izzo and stuff, and I don't
Yeah,
know if that's necessarily true. I think it is very different teams, especially as of late. Um, but yeah, they overall have like more years of experience, I think. So there's also that factor. But I don't know. It's good. It's good. I expect another close game.
yeah. So Justin in chat, Sir Justin saying they are deep and just a well-balanced team, and I think we've seen that in the
Mhm.
midst of the tournament as people come in and out. Um,
Yeah.
they even had a guy injured in the Big Ten tournament, and they're still winning.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He was. I think he was like. I feel like more of like their seventh man, maybe seventh or
Okay.
eighth guy coming off the bench, but definitely needed because they could rotate guys in, like pretty equally. Like you said, they're deep, and so like that also kept them like pretty much firing on all cylinders during the game. Yeah, and also like they're playing this well, and actually they've had their other top offensive player, Langford, literally out the whole season. So, and he'll be back next year. So, just like Cassius Winston's also a junior, they're only going to have like two
Oh
seniors
wow.
graduate. I think the shooter McQuaid and Kenny Goins. So, basically, the whole team you see tonight will probably be back next season. So, um,
Scary
yeah,
stuff. So we better pull it off this season,
yeah,
basically.
that's for
So
sure.
you mentioned Duke's record. Duke is 12-2 all time against Michigan State, 4 and
Mhm.
1 in the tournament. The
Yep,
last win against Michigan State coming by a total of 20 points en
yep,
route to the 2015 national championship. We'll see if
yep.
there's any like I don't know, maybe history repeats itself, but I think you're right. We will get another close nail biter of a close
Yeah, it's
game
gonna be
here.
tough. The other key matchup is definitely gonna be my own superstitions and preparations before the game that I do here in Chicago versus my father down in North Carolina, who I'm sure will be doing his on his own end. Sorry, Dad. Let's bring it. Let's go. I think I got a text. He sent me a text right after the game, and it was like, "Wow, what a close game!" And then like within 2 seconds, it was just a picture of like my dad has like mini basketballs, like the
Yeah.
little 6-inch ones. He does one Duke one and one Michigan State one. It was just like within seconds after the Virginia Tech game ended. I was like, okay, let's go.
All right. Well, it's on. There you have it. Eric has given you the key matchups and the players to watch for tonight. He's predicting another close game. Hopefully, our boys can manage to pull it out. And then we'll be on our way to Minneapolis, which would be rather great. As far as when we're on next, we will see depending on the outcome of this game. Um, and otherwise, I think that's it for us today on this happy Sunday morning. Yeah, go Blue Devils.
Let's go.
All right, thanks everyone for hanging out, and yeah, we'll see you in the Final Four.
Peace, guys.